The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
And then you want to do the play slideshow. And Gretchen issue. And just start when you want. And those will be clickable.
This is a little mic you can speak through.
And that hyperlink.
It'll work.
It'll work now. Now that it's in present. So action.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Dad.
What?
We don't want it to migrate. We don't want it to play by itself. So did you just make it go to the next slide?
I think we clicked it.
Okay, so click back so that we can.
That's the first
Okay,
slide.
that's the first slide.
Is this the right way?
This way. So if the apple's on the bottom, then you're good.
Oh.
Hello, this is a training for the Ohio Balanced Estate Continuum of Care for the McKinney-Vento HARF Act, particularly for the COC program and to discuss match and leverage. Today, Anthony Forte, Senior CPD Rep for the Columbus Field Office of the U.S. Housing and Urban Development. And joining me is Gretchen Garland, Senior CPD Rep for the Columbus Field Office of the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development. We're going to guide you first through a webinar that is on financial accounting. And after that webinar, we're going to walk through a PowerPoint presentation. At this time, I'm going to move forward and allow Gretchen to lead us in our PowerPoint.
Good day, everyone. I'm Gretchen Garland. As Anthony said, I'm a senior financial analyst with HUD. Today, we're going to talk about match and how it relates to the COC program. Expending federal dollars, including match, must be accounted for in a way that every dollar can be tied to a specific expenditure that is needed and eligible on your particular grant. This requires that a grantee have proper internal controls, budgets, and accounting controls. Even though this particular training is not on financial management training, it is important to know that match must be accounted for just like funds you draw down from ELOCs. The financial management modules on the HUD Exchange is a great resource for all grantees' financial staff to view to ensure they are meeting all of HUD's requirements. Today, I'd like you to be aware of the financial management training on the HUD Exchange, which can be reached at https://www.hudexchange.info/trainings/curriculum/. On this site, there are various sections of trainings. There are 3 different trainings.
The little on the bottom. There you go.
How do I go up?
It might be easier to use. You'll just scroll.
You're just going to have to cut this out.
Yeah, no worries.
Okay.
So you can just.
Oh,
and
okay.
with
This might be easier.
Okay. Yeah.
How do I scroll on this?
Two fingers. There you go.
It's kind of hard because you can't see it.
Which one?
There's no way to hide that.
Well, what are you trying to click on?
Well, I just want to go through this.
Yeah.
Okay. The first module of training available on this website is the Financial Management Introduction. It is just a simple way you can look at effective systems for managing federal funds and improving program performance. This was developed in 2014 and has been more streamlined in Financial Management 201, a closer look. When you get to this module, you want to click on it to open it up, and you'll see that there are 7. I think I should have used my computer.
You will still have that screen as a control screen.
And if you want to use the mouse, you can just use one finger to scroll.
There are 7 different modules on this section. The first one is discussing the new financial management requirements, which are located in 2 CFR Part 200. This is the regulation that combined OMB Circular A122, 24 CFR Part 84, and the audit requirements found at OMB A133. The next module you can review is the cost principles module. It includes eligible, allowable, reasonable, and how to allocate cost. It discusses direct and indirect cost. And it also discusses how to allocate cost. And if you are a nonprofit that does charge indirect cost plans, you're required to have that indirect cost plan approved by HUD. So it must be sent to your local HUD office. It also discusses various methods of determining indirect cost. The next module training available to you is the budgeting module. This discusses how to effectively use the budget process in a program planning, the process of components of developing a budget, and contains tools for controlling agency expenditures and managing financial performance. There is also the procurement module. And with any federal funds, including match, if you're going to procure something with our funds, it's required that you follow these procurement requirements, which means that you most likely have to bid out what you're probably going to be purchasing. But once again, there's regulations and it all requires on the dollar amount and what you're doing. So if you want to procure something with federal dollars, we highly recommend that you see this watch this module. The next module is the internal controls module. It discusses how internal controls are used in financial management. It discusses the roles and responsibilities for effective internal controls and the typical factors that create effective financial controls. Financial controls are an integral part of a financial management system. There's also the fund accounting module. And with your match dollars, you have to count for them in your fund accounting system, just like any dollars you draw down from ELOCs. But the topics include program-specific financial management requirements and the need for accurate financial reporting. It discusses how fund accounting helps recipients comply with HUD financial management requirements in your day-to-day operations. This module will help you prevent from possibly getting monitoring findings if you review it and implement the requirements in your financial management system. And then there's the federal audits module. And as you know, OMB A133 used to be the audit requirements, but like we said, this is now in 2 CFR Part 200. And if you expend over $750,000 in a year in federal funds, you are required to have a single audit. So if this is applicable to your organization, I highly recommend that you watch this module.
Back to your slides.
Mm-hmm. You're going to have a lot of editing to do.
No, I
Sorry.
look forward to it. Don't worry, you're
You
doing
do?
great. Yeah, don't even worry
Look
about
at
it.
Editing her
I want to go back to that one. I can go to the link.
Okay.
And then I should have come in for a day training just on
voice.
Apple.
Well, if you guys want, this can be a test run. If you don't feel good about it,
It depends on how good your editing skills are, Sandy.
You're worried about my editing skills,
That's what I
right?
said. It depends how good your editing skills are.
I don't
You
wanna
make
toot
us
my
sound
own-
good, and you make that
Aw.
look good, and everybody will be all right.
Do you want this to be your test run though, so there's less pressure, maybe?
I don't know. I think I'm still gonna.
I mean-
I think I'm still gonna stumble because with this system. So whatever you want me to do.
Okay.
And I would say after you edit it, you can shoot it to us, and we can look at it.
And if we need to come back and do it again,
Okay.
want to do that?
Okay, yeah. So
Let's do
less pressure.
Yeah.
You're doing
Reduce
great.
the anxiety, baby. Reduce the anxiety.
Mhm.
Well, it's not flowing really good for me because I'm not having a hard time moving in this.
So if you want
Do
me to
you want
move
me
that,
to sign in on your computer with the GoToMeeting account? Would that be more helpful?
no, because our systems, if it doesn't already have it, can't be added, and particularly
Even
without.
if it's a website?
Well, it's a website, but you have to download the app,
Yeah. Okay, I see what you're saying.
It's an app.
Yeah.
Oh, we can't get apps.
Okay.
and so we can't load something on our system. Otherwise, it will require you to sign in, like under your account or something like that.
Right.
So, I mean, you can try it on hers, but I mean, this here, Gretchen, if you want me to zoom through the slides, I mean, now that you're on your slide, once you get into the site that you want to do, you should know a simple tap takes things off of the screen. A double fingers is what migrates the screen. But once is this the one you're going to do?
If you want,
Well, actually, I've got to say one thing.
Okay.
I
You
could go through the slides and you could just give me a head nod or something, and I can if
Go to
that's
the
what's
next
really
one.
messing you up,
Right.
know, because I can just sit here and
Right, and then you could turn
Yeah.
you can turn to the screen.
Oh,
'Cause
that
once
might
you're
be
gonna-
better.
and you just focus on
That might be
speaking.
better.
Yeah. Okay. Let's do that.
But do you understand what I'm doing? Okay.
Yeah.
That might be a lot better.
Okay.
We'll start from scratch.
And it's
Yeah,
right up there
let's
on the
do that.
screen. So if you want to talk over it while it needs to be done,
Let's do that. Because
Okay.
I think if I had her do what she says she's going to do for me, that would be so. This is making me nervous.
All right.
Hello, participants of this webinar. This is a webinar training for the Ohio Balanced Estate Continuum of Care programs funded under the McKinney-Vento Act for what we call the HARF Act, and particularly for the COC programs, which are our homeless programs. Today's webinar will be led by myself, Anthony Forte, Senior CPD Rep for the Columbus Field Office of the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development. Also, Gretchen Garland, Senior CPD Rep and Financial Analyst for the Columbus Field Office of the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, will lead us through fund and cost accounting. Today's webinar is divided between two portions. We will walk through some online tutorials for financial management that Ms. Garland will lead us through. And the second part will be a PowerPoint presentation to discuss the particular parameters of match, what is eligible match for the COC programs and the level of documentation that is required. Ms. Garland.
Good day, everyone. Today we're going to talk about match, but I'm going to tell you how match relates to federal programs. Expending federal dollars, including match, must be accounted for in a way that every dollar can be tied to a specific expenditure that is needed and eligible on your particular grant. This requires that a grantee have proper internal controls, budgets, and accounting controls. Even though this particular training is not on financial management, it is important to know that match must be accounted for just like funds you draw down from ELOCs. The financial management modules on the HUD Exchange is a great resource for all grantees' financial staff to view to ensure that they are meeting all of HUD's financial requirements. This website can be found at https://www.hudexchange.info/financial-management-curriculum/. On this site, you have Financial Management 101. This is a self-paced training module to help grantees understand federal financial requirements, to help them create an effective system for managing federal funds, and improve program performance. This module was created in 2014. It has since been updated to Financial Management 201, a closer look, which is actually divided into 7 modules. The first module goes over the new financial federal requirements found at 2 CFR Part 200. This regulation now supersedes 24 CFR Part 84, the Uniform Administrative Requirements, OMB Circular A122, Cost Principles, and OMB Circular A133, Audit Requirements. The second module is on cost principles. It discusses eligible, allowable, reasonable, and allocable cost. And once again, this would also include how you would count for match dollars. This circular goes over direct and indirect cost, the importance of appropriately allocating cost, what a cost allocation plan must include, and how you also should be aware that if you are a nonprofit and you do charge indirect cost, you are required to submit that plan to your local HUD field office for review and approval before you can charge indirect cost. And this module goes also over various methods of determining indirect cost. The third module is the budgeting module. It goes over the importance and concepts of budgeting for federal programs, how to effectively use the budgeting process in program planning, and tools for controlling agency expenditures and managing financial performance. The fourth module is the procurement module. Whenever you use federal funds or match funds to procure an item, you are always required to follow the procurement requirements. So if you're procuring anything with your federal dollars or match dollars, please review this module. The fifth module is the internal controls module. The use of internal controls is needed to implement financial management. This module will go over roles and responsibilities for effective internal controls. It goes over typical factors that create effective financial controls. And financial controls should be an integral part of your financial management system. The sixth module is the funds accounting module. The fund accounting module discusses how program-specific financial management requirements and the need for accurate financial reporting. It discusses how fund accounting helps recipients and subrecipients comply with HUD financial management requirements. It goes over the prevention and reduction of monitoring findings and the roles and responsibilities for implementing a fund accounting system. The last module is the federal audits module. This has replaced OMB Circular A-133 and discusses how you're required to have a single audit if you expend over $750,000 in a year in federal funds. It is important to know that all federal funds, including match, must follow all these requirements. I highly recommend every financial and executive director of an organization watch especially the fund accounting module and the cost principles module. These areas are probably where HUD has the most findings issued when we actually go out and do an on-site financial review. It is usually with fund accounting and cost principles. Now we're going to take a closer look at how, pause.
Okay.
Okay, we got to go back to that website.
Okay.
We got to go to the third module.
Is it the budgeting?
No, we got to go back. I don't know how to do this one. It's the third one.
This one?
Examine cart.
Okay.
You want to go up to the top?
Mm-hmm.
But can they see? But I wanted them to see. All right, well, I was going to have them click. Okay, that's okay.
Do you want me to show them how to click to get there?
Yeah. Well, we got to go back to, there are the three ones, and then the third module on this exchange is the Financial Management 201 Examining the Parts module. This goes over financial requirements specifically as it relates to one of HUD's federal programs. It includes the Home Investment Partnership Program, the CDBG Community Development Block Grant Program, the Housing Opportunity for Persons with AIDS Program, HOPWA. It includes the Emergency Solutions Grant Program and the Continuum of Care. Today, we are going to watch selected parts of the Continuum of Care module. Oh, we gotta log in.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I gotta look at my ID. We'll work on this computer?
You do?
I wonder if mine will.
Have you previously been on HUD Exchange?
Yeah.
Okay.
I just never remember my password.
I got mine right here.
Okay. And I can log off after.
I took a picture of it yesterday, so to have it.
Well, usually it's like saved, password saved. And so you don't really have to work too hard to remember things.
Right.
I just feel like there's a password for everything. I was locked out of my iPhone
right.
the other day. Because I had to
How do you recover that?
Exactly.
That's a difficult one.
That is a difficult one.
Yeah.
Because you're like, how can I call if I'm locked out of my phone? Because it required you to make a new password. So I did that, and yeah. Basically, there were some shortcuts. I Googled everything.
I'd go to another device, Google this. How do I find?
Yes. I can edit this out.
Okay, can you hit, how do I hit that? Just
log
log in. Pop-up blocked.
I'll let it unblock. I hate ads,
Oh.
and all that. So I typically. Do you want the audio to play?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So they're going to talk. They can talk better than I can.
No autoplay or autoplay?
Autoplay.
All right.
Then we're going to skip number 5.
Okay. You can just tell me. Be like.
Okay, I'll tell you to skip it. Okay. You can start it.
Continuum of Care, COC program recipients, are organizations that receive funds directly from HUD. and subrecipients are their nonprofit and for-profit partners that help implement programs. All COC recipients and subrecipients must meet specific financial management requirements specified in the regulations of 24 CFR Part 578. There may be additional state and local requirements, and private funders may require additional financial management procedures. All must understand the full scope of federal financial management requirements and consider how they apply to individual agency and grant circumstances. Agreements between the recipient and any subrecipients must require subrecipients to operate projects in accordance with the provisions of the COC program. COCs designate applicants for the geographic area. If there is only one, HUD may enter into a grant agreement with that applicant for new awards, if any, and into another grant agreement for renewals, COC planning, and Unified Funding Agency UFA costs, if applicable. Match is actual cash or in-kind resources contributed and expended on eligible COC program costs for eligible COC program populations. According to the COC program interim rule, COC program recipients or subrecipients must match all grant funds, except for leasing funds, with no less than 25% of funds or in-kind contributions from other sources. So if the project is requesting $100,000 from HUD without leasing, the required match for the project is $100,000 times 25%, or $25,000. For COC geographic areas in which there is more than one grant agreement, the 25% match must be provided on a grant-by-grant basis by either the recipient or subrecipient. Recipients that are UFAs or are the sole recipient for their COC may provide a match on a COC-wide basis. Matches may come from private sources or from public sources, so long as they are not statutorily prohibited from the funding agency. Match in the COC program is defined as the minimum required cash or in-kind contributions for a project. Leverage in the COC program is cash and in-kind contributions in excess of the minimum required match contributions for a project. A recipient or subrecipient may use leveraged funds for other aspects of a project, even if the costs are not allowable in the COC program. Whereas resources being used as match under the COC program are required to be expended on eligible activities under the COC program interim rule, resources that are considered leverage and not also considered match are not required to be used for eligible activities under the COC program interim rule. They may be used to support any activity within the project provided by the recipient. The COC program has a 25% match requirement applied to all activities except leasing. The COC must contribute $1 in either cash or in-kind contributions for every $4 awarded. Match contributions can come from many sources. Recipients must ensure that any funds used to satisfy the matching requirements are eligible under the interim rule and not prohibited from use as match. Matching contributions must meet all other federal requirements for states, units of general local government, and nonprofit organizations. Common questions arise on the use of resident rent, client benefits funds, and emergency solutions grant (ESG) funds as match. Resident rent is considered program income, and as of the fiscal year 2015 and fiscal year 2016 awards, COC allows program income to be used as match. Client benefit funds are generally not considered match because they are not committed to the recipient for the activities provided through the project. However, if client benefit funds, such as Temporary Assistance for Needy Families, TANF, are provided to the recipient agency for use in its project, then those funds can be used as match. ESG funds are not allowed to be used as match by statute. The COC program interim rule states that a 25% match requirement must be provided for all grant components except leasing. In accordance with the COC program interim rule, match funds can be cash or in-kind contributions from other non-program sources. Recipients are responsible for determining if non-program sources are eligible to match with COC program funds. Matching funds funds must be used for eligible costs under the COC program. Some of the different uses of match are listed on this page. It is important to note, however, that matching funds do not have to be used on costs approved in the project budget. An example is rental assistance. The recipient does not necessarily have to match rental assistance with rental assistance. Match may not be used for restricted costs, so it may be used for operating costs, as long as the grant is not funding rental assistance. For example, if a recipient has an award for $100,000 in rental assistance, the recipient could match the rental assistance award with no less than $25,000 of supported services, case management, or $25,000 in administrative costs, provided that the funds or services from the other agency are not prohibited by statute to be used as match with federal dollars. The COC recipient must keep source documentation to substantiate cash and in-kind match for each match source. Documentation for cash match may include canceled checks, rent receipts, and irrevocable pledges. Records must indicate the grant and fiscal year for which each match contribution is counted. As stated in Section 578.21c of the COC Program Interim Rule, recipients must supply proof of match to HUD before a grant will be executed. Either at the time of application or prior to grant execution, a recipient will be required to document the amount and sources of its match requirements, both cash and income. When the source is cash, written documentation should be provided on the source agency's letterhead, signed and dated by an authorized representative. Documenting in-kind goods and services is also required. Documentation of service match uses a different approach than documentation of in-kind goods. The recipient must enter into a formal Memorandum of Understanding, MOU, with the agency providing the in-kind service, and must establish a system to document the actual value of services provided during the term of the grant. The COC Program Interim Rule details the information that is required to be included in the MOU. A recipient may use a letter from the partner agency to document the commitment to provide the in-kind service in advance of executing a formal MOU. For instance, if the recipient wants to wait to execute an MOU until after receiving a notification of award from HUD. The MOU can be between a recipient or a subrecipient and another agency, but the terms must be described in the MOU. If match is provided to multiple recipients by an area third-party service provider, the COC could consider documenting standardized rate information for all local recipients to use as part of in-kind service match documentation. Service providers can then plug in these preset rates for their match calculations. For instance, match documentation resources could include medical services or prescription fees made available to COC program participants by an area healthcare provider. Recipients must demonstrate to HUD during the grant agreement execution process that they can meet the match requirement for the awarded grant amount. While recipients need to demonstrate match prior to grant execution, the actual match provided by the recipient over the course of the grant term is based on the amount of grant funds spent on eligible activities. Therefore, recipients only need to document what they spend. In addition to the MOU, the recipient or subrecipient must establish a system to document the actual value of services provided. Rates must be consistent with those ordinarily paid for similar work in the recipient or subrecipient's organization or in the same labor market. For example, if a hospital or other local mental health provider makes counseling available to COC program clients as a part of a local match, these services should be valued at either the same rate used by the provider organization or at the usual rate for such services in the community. Recipient. While federal financial management standards do not require that program income be spent down prior to drawing down grant funds, the COC program strongly prefers that recipients ensure that program income is applied toward project costs prior to drawing down additional federal funds. Nevertheless, program income must be spent on eligible expenses before the end of the operating year during which it is earned. Sources of COC program income include rent and occupancy charges. These funds must be retained by the recipient or subrecipient if committed to the project and used to cover any eligible costs in the COC program, not just the costs identified in the project budget. Recipients may use program income on any eligible costs in accordance with the requirements of the COC program, even if the activity was not contained in the approved grant agreement. However, recipients must document that the program income was expended in accordance with the requirements of the COC program. Recipients and subrecipients may use program income on any eligible costs listed in Subpart D of the COC program interim rule, and must document that the program income was spent in accordance with the COC program requirements. All costs must be eligible under the COC program based on the approved budget. In the past, recipients were not able to use program income generated from grant-supported activities as match. However, for fiscal year 2015 and fiscal year 2016 awards, costs paid by program income can be counted toward the match requirement for fiscal year 2015 and fiscal year 2016 awards. The funds must be spent on eligible COC program costs that supplement the recipient's project. The COC program recipients and subrecipients must address 7 key areas of financial management to meet the federal requirements described in the regulations and ensure sound practices to safeguard federal resources.
Pause.
You gotta click that.
Right. For these.
We're skipping all that.
Okay.
Because it's only on match you really wanted.
Mm-hmm.
But what I should have done is left an introduction and said we're going to go over parts of this,
Mm-hmm.
and not the whole training as it relates more to match.
Okay.
So if I could redo that one part.
Yeah, we can do that. So
Let's just finish this and then we'll.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I will not make it to 31 then. So after 21, it's done.
After 22.
After 22 is done. Okay, so we only have a few more.
Okay.
Sounds good.
Federal controls are the combination of policies, procedures, defined job responsibilities, personnel, and records that allow an organization or agency to maintain required oversight and control of its cash, property, and other assets. Budget controls are the procedures that recipients and subrecipients must have in place to compare and control expenditures against the approved budget. Accounting controls are procedures that enable recipients and subrecipients to maintain accounting records identifying the source and application of federal funds. The accounting records must be supported by source documentation. The recipient or subrecipient's accounting system should include at least the following: chart of accounts, cash receipts journal, cash disbursements journal, payroll journal, general journal, which is a record of all non-cash transactions, general ledger, summarizing and detailing activities by account, and the activities reported in each account of an organization.
Oh, and 23.
Procurement requirements fall into 2 categories.
No, sorry.
Small
It's okay. We can
No,
cut
I'm
that
sorry.
out. No, I was like,
You're
I'll
right.
follow this. No.
22 is last page. I'm sorry.
Okay, did you want to restate again that we're just going to go through some parts that pertain to match?
Or as noted.
Yes. So,
Okay.
We're hereby ending this
Tell
portion.
me when you're ready.
and go.
Today, we are going to go over certain parts of this module of the COC financial management training we're going to highlight most of the parts that relate to match.
Perfect. All right. Was that you?
That's me.
That's it?
The big guy.
All right.
Big man.
Right.
This is the man. He's more of a professional speaker than me.
You did great, though.
You did excellent.
Thank you.
I'm going to go grab some water. If
Okay.
you want anything, let me know.
I'm good. I'm
Okay.
good. I'm going to move over so you have room. I like how you're writing your speech right as we're saying.
Well, I'm adding 2 because obviously it has some limitations. So I'm adding 2.
Stop it and then just start it up again. Yeah, because if you stop it, actually, what you might have to do is just close the whole thing out, like X the whole program.
So, but I
And
just do right
do
here.
lose it.
Stop.
There's just hit the red button. I
This
think.
one?
Yeah, because it's going to say you're quitting the webinar. Do you wish to convert to recording? Right, and the webinar.